Can you hear me? Hello, everybody. If you can hear me, say you can hear me in the chat. Can you guys see? No, you can't hear me? You can hear me. Okay, I'm getting conflicting answers here. Okay, you can hear me, but can you see? Interesting. Very interesting. Which part of this is going wrong? Because you should be capable of seeing as well. Oh, you can see. You can hear me, okay? Some say they can hear, some say they can't, some say they see, some say they can't see. So this is questionable. If you can see me, when I say see me, if you can see my screen, say you can see the screen. Is working? I sure hope it's working. See your browser YouTube page. Yep, it is on the YouTube page. You're correct. Okay, if you can see it, that's good. How's the audio? Is my audio on the correct level? Is it too loud? Is it too low? And on my desktop? Well, that shouldn't be the case. Okay. I was not planning on actually holding this streaming session because I was hella sick and I've been in a hospital bed earlier today. But I thought I told you guys I'm gonna show up, so I might as well show up. Okay. So I'm currently working on saving and loading builds for the damage calculator. So I'm just gonna be making a few assets for that, a few icons and stuff like that. Hello everybody. Hello everyone that just showed up. So, as I'm doing that, feel free to ask me any questions you want. I'm gonna be answering questions. Hmm. If you say the video quality is low, that's, to be honest, that's kind of expected. Yeah, that's probably expected to be low. because internet speed is not that good. But the reason that I'm streaming to begin with is that my YouTube manager is telling me I should try it. Even if the quality is low, my manager says you should give it a shot, give it a shot and see how it goes. Oh, somebody else says they have a decent quality. Okay. Okay. All right. So what I want to make is an icon like this one, like the same as an upload icon. So this will be a really simple thing. Though I have to say my Photoshop skills are horrifyingly bad. Okay, I think 256 by 256 file should do. As I said before, this is gonna be kind of boring. So if you had any questions, feel free to go ahead and ask. This is just my first time, so don't expect much. I'm also not very good at talking live because I often work with a lot of scripts and such. What do you think of builds that rely on shreds? Shred, as in punch through, or prime shred, perhaps. Personally, I'm not a big fan of punch through as a whole because it's shards. Oh, shards. Okay, my apologies. Okay, shards. Shards. Shards are really, really late game. To be fair, I'm not that. How do I put this? I haven't played Warframe that much ever since shards have been introduced, but I have to say that shards are really late game. Like, really late game. It's not something you're gonna have while leveling up. It's not something you're gonna have early game. So it's more of a you can try it kind of thing instead of something that you're going to use while you're going to get stronger. It's something you get when you already are very strong. So it's not the biggest deal. Because if it was easier to get, then it would be a bigger deal. But it isn't. Okay. Where did my rulers go? Oh, Control R. I always forget the hotkeys. Okay, there we go. Okay, I think I can make that work. And that's just going to be a line. Okay. Okay, how do I make that be exactly the same on both sides? I guess I could copy, paste, duplicate this layer, and then Control T it. No, not that one. Mm, 44 frames this way, so it should be 44 frames that way. Okay. All right. How many people do we have in the chat right now? Let me see. We have 8 people. Okay. I feel bad for new players that will catch up on raw amount of shards that I have and will lack build diversity that shards provide. Build diversity, you say? I personally think Warframe has... Okay, wait a second. Build diversity. Oh, that will never. I see. Warframe kinda has build diversity, but I feel like it's not in the right place. For example, let's say you want to do a mission if you're doing a Corpus mission or a Grenier mission, that already defines what kind of a build is going to be effective there. One thing that I always had a problem with in Warframe is that despite Warframe having build diversity, it doesn't use it to its advantage. For example, if missions were longer, you would have more incentive to use appropriate builds. For example, the missions currently are not long enough for you to bother changing your builds depending on the mission. So, despite the fact that we have, at least in theory, we have build diversity, we're not going to use that build diversity. We're going to make one very good build and just use that. What do you think about my take? One of the things that is simultaneously both Warframes. One thing that I feel like is simultaneously one of Warframe's biggest positives and negatives is the fact that they basically just kept adding stuff to the game without really thinking about it too hard. Because if they were to think about it too hard, they would probably never add this many stuff. For example, when you're making a video game, you come up with an idea first and then design the game to match the way you want it to play. For example, if you want it to be a fast-paced shooter, you will develop every other element of the game to match that. But halfway through Warframe's life, they basically just changed stuff. For example, the parkour system. The maps were not designed to handle that parkour system, which meant you would be getting stuck a lot. But at the same time, because they just kept adding stuff, it kind of made a unique game. But it also meant because the game wasn't designed in a way to be capable of handling this kind of new content drops or to handle such massive changes in its core design, the game will never, almost at least as far as I can see, it will never become a mainstream thing. For example, let's say Minecraft. They know what they're doing. They have a solid game plan to what the game should be. See? And because they have a solid plan, they know exactly what fits in the game and what doesn't fit. But Warframe doesn't do that. Warframe just keeps adding stuff. It's unique, but at the same time, it's kind of holding the game back. So the fact that Warframe developers are making a new game, that is tremendous news. That is very good news, which means they're finally getting the courage to actually make a properly designed game. Which to be honest, I cannot say with confidence that they will without doubt make it because and that 2018 game they tried to make did not go very well. But I believe in them. They should be they should give it a chance at the very minimum. And hello there, Current. Thank you. Uh, saying my channel is nice is how do I put this? Not the best of ideas considering how I'm going around making one video every month. So what do you think about that take? What is your take in regard to my take? Yeah, one thing about the Warframes. A lot of people, including myself, believe it or not, think or used to think, in my case, I used to think, I don't think that anymore. I used to think that reworking a lot of Warframes to match the new gameplay loop is a good idea. But in reality, it is not a good idea. You know why? If you keep changing the game too quickly, in other words, if you go around changing like 5 Warframes every couple of months, you are not going to end up in a good situation. There is this thing called, what was the name? Alienation or something along those lines. Something along those lines that basically means you change the game so much, so quickly that it's not the same game anymore. And trust me, that's the last thing you want to do. Because if you suddenly change the game too much, regardless of what you make being good or not good, people will no longer like it. Even if what you make is literal gold, if you change it too much, people will not like it. Uh, Hunting, you say. You see, when you're developing a game, I'm talking as if I'm an expert, but I have a little bit of knowledge at least. When your employees keep making the same kind of thing over and over, they're gonna be so burnt out that they won't want to or have the energy to work on new things. And that is that's probably one of the biggest reasons that the developers suddenly start making random stuff like hunting or K drives. So yeah, if the game wasn't so samey, they would probably never make something like hunting. Oh, there's Nin. Everybody, you should be introduced to the Ghost Ninja one. His nickname is Nin. Yeah, because the developers don't want to keep their employees always doing the same weapon, the same few mission types, and the same few warframes, which their pipelines are practically identical. They every now and then they tell the employees to make something new, something that is fun for them to make, and not only fun for the player. So you have to consider that as well. You can't just be making stuff for the players because if you lose your developers engagement, you're not gonna end up with a good game. So that's also important. Ahem. I'm surprised Nin is not asking for a chroma video already. Yeah, I did. I did get some rest. You really think I would have showed up if I couldn't? So, Do you guys think this streaming thing is working? Nin, what do you think? Do you think the quality is good enough? But to be perfectly honest with you guys, I have no idea how to stream. This is my first time, as I said. Oh yeah, it's not working. It just so happens that you answered my question without hearing me at all. Isn't that right? Yes. Yes, Mr. Boatman, that's true. You still have to do the reworks, just not too quickly. And that's basically what they're doing. They're doing it slowly, taking it slowly to prevent uh, people to get alienated from the game. Because if they change the game too much, that's that's worse than having a bad game. Because that'll instantly kill the game. All right. So what was I doing? I needed a new button here. I've never heard you say you drink tea, Nin. This is the first time. Well, you can't expect too much with this kind of thing, especially when your internet is as bad as mine. Yeah, I wanted a button here. Okay, where let me make a duplicate of this thing. I wonder, does the stream has that cog icon at the bottom right, and then you can increase the video quality from there, or does it not? Or does it not have that? Yeah. Oh, it just doesn't work. I see. Yeah, it's probably something that both of our internet connections are not that good. Mine is not too good, and yours is not too good, so it is what it is. Actually, let me drink some tea as well. I always have tea next to me. You really galvanized crosshair bug? No, I'm not. Inform me. What, does it do something crazy? Okay. Uh, do not work while you're on. Oh my god. Galvanized crosshair. That's not how it's written, but close enough. Uh, is a really, in my opinion at least, it is a really, really bad mod. Back in the first time they introduced galvanized crosshair, it used to be so all your stacks run out at once, but then they changed it and made it even worse than that because now each stack has its own timer, which means it lasts even less than it did before, which is absolutely bonkers. Like, I don't understand. It wasn't that good to begin with, and they made it worse. Are people actually using it and I'm not aware? Because it never looked like a good mod to me. Well, Math sure as hell doesn't agree with you on that one. Don't get me wrong. It's the same kind of deal with faction mods. In theory, yes, in theory, it is good. But in practice, no. No, it is not. You can disagree with me, but I'm just saying it's not really that sustainable. Unless you are only using that one weapon, never changing your weapon, and not using abilities to assist in the killing. So basically, you have to stick to that one weapon just to keep that one mod effective. Oh, thank you, Nico. I'm happy to see you as well. It does give you a lot of crit chance, but it's not worth it because you basically get stuck using that one weapon to keep that one mod active. Yeah, but it's a bad idea. Like, not only from a gameplay perspective, because it makes the game so much more boring, but also from a design perspective. Remember, let me put it this way. If you have a melee weapon, a secondary weapon, a primary weapon, and abilities, if a mod in that situation, if a singular mod makes it so you cannot swap to your pistol, you cannot use your melee, and you cannot focus on abilities for a bit to get the kills done, that's a bad mod, especially when it has such a short duration. So, turns out people do use it. Okay, so looks like I am an outlier here because I always disagreed with that mod on a fundamental level. I still do. I'm not saying that I have changed my mind because I have not changed my mind. It is a bad mod. I am sticking to that opinion. Okay, that icon looks really bad. It's way too thin. I'll have to make that thicker. Quite a bit thicker, actually. The whole concept of see, even you agree that sustainability is an issue on it, and that's a problem because sustainability is important, very important, actually. But don't we have an equivalent thing for pistols? Or maybe that doesn't work either. Okay, that could be it, I guess. Whoops, I missed one. Yeah, that is a fair point. If you're using Yareli, you should be using Merlina because if you don't, then you're just using half her abilities for some reason, which is generally not the best of ideas. To be, how many people actually use Yareli though? It can't be that many, can it? Because she wasn't a good frame to begin with. Unless they made it better? I don't think so. Did they make it better? I doubt it. How much? Is she good at something, though? Is she the top pick for anything? For example, every a lot of warframes are either top picks or very good picks in one or at least a few things. For example, Nidus is super good at long survival. What's you really good at? Which of her abilities does something that is noteworthy? 200% fire rate and reload speed augment for Miralina. But that's a secondary though. Secondaries are inherently worse than primaries, unfortunately. Hmm. I still think it's not enough. Not even close, actually. The problem with the problem I have with Yoreli is that she doesn't do enough for a Warframe, or at least that's my take on it. I'm not the most knowledgeable about her kit, but that's my take. She doesn't do enough, in my opinion. So it doesn't uh, launch enemies all over the place anymore, but it still costs 100 energy. That's more than other abilities of similar effect, isn't it? Yeah, that is actually a problem because when you introduce a new Warframe, it must be good at something. If all it does is being mediocre, well, that's not gonna end up being used now, is it? It keeps them together for a good while and doesn't restrict firing your gun. Yeah, I don't think that was the problem with her 4. Hello. Hello, JR. I see. I don't know how I'm supposed to read that, but I hope that was close enough. I'm just making a few icons for this thing, for the damage calculator, because I'm developing a build saving kind of stuff, and I want to be capable of saving builds on the fly and then loading them on the fly. So I need a few icons for that. Her one is bad for debuffing since it's only 5 bubbles, but there are like 40 enemies on SP. Yeah, one thing about her one, if they didn't change it too much, was that first off it was slow, and second off it hit one enemy at a time and then it spread, which is so much slower than just pressing a button and having everything in a radius get CC'd immediately. Yeah, but that's a fair question though. Is it enough to just be usable or no? Should every Warframe be super good? That's a valid question. That's a valid design question. Does every Warframe have to be competitive? I personally, my personal opinion is that yes, every Warframe should be competitive. But some people don't share my opinion. Because why make something if it cannot compete with what you've already developed? That's my design philosophy. For example, you guys might remember in my Q&A video, I said one of my favorite games ever is Control. Do you know why? They had very few weapons, but the ones they had were all unique and useful. None of them felt weak or useless. Okay, this is not looking too good, I think. Okay, let me duplicate this thing. We have way too many in Warframe for any of them to be that unique. Hello. A lot of weapons in Warframe. For example, can you tell me the difference between Stradivar and Karak? Sure, their fire rate's a little bit different and their damage numbers a little bit different, but it's pretty much the same thing. If you want to have competition between frames, we need to remove entire roster. If you remember earlier, I said Warframe doesn't care too much about stuff like the proper design or balance. It does not care too much. It does care to a certain extent, but not to the end of the world. And that's the reason we have so many things. They just keep adding stuff without thinking about it too hard. They do think about it, and they do care that it's not completely broken, but they don't care too much. Yeah, Tiburon Prime and Kuva Hein. They look different, but they do the same thing. We we can't have competition might not be fully correct because this kind of stuff is very complicated, and if you're really good at it, you probably could make it happen, but it probably will not become a thing because we just have too many stuff. Yes, that's also true. Warframe, it's not that we cannot make the game balanced. It's more that if we did make the game balanced, it would kill the game. That's why we cannot support PvP in it. At least that's my take on it. Okay. I think that icon looks good enough. Is it good enough? I sure hope it's good enough. It looks good enough to me. All right. Okay. What do I do next? Okay. Load build. All right. Let me set that up. Load build. You either need to update all 600 items we have available or you abandon dream of balance and completion. Well, the funny, you say. Have you ever heard of a game called Team Fortress 2? They have a lot of funny in it, but they also have a lot of balance in it. It's not perfect, but it sure as hell is much better than what Warframe is. I haven't played it personally, but I've heard a lot about it. Or rather, I've done quite a bit of research on it. That might be the better word to say. Load build. It's not impossible, but that's not the route Warframe is going. Public void show. Okay. yeah, that's what you get. Because if your game is balanced, you cannot keep adding stuff to it indefinitely. That's just the nature of balance. When something is perfectly balanced, if you add something to either side, you're gonna break something. That's why they're so careful about adding stuff. And they probably also think the game is good enough as it is. That's why they don't keep adding stuff to it indefinitely. Oh, it also has stuff to do with how Valve develops games and stuff, blah blah blah. But you get the idea. For its lifespan, TF2 was a lot more balanced as far as I can tell. Well, uh, J-Ro, what you're suggesting is a completely new game at that point. I don't know. I don't know if I cut out there or not. I was saying something that really matters is what people think the game is. And people do not think Warframe is balanced. So if you suddenly change the identity of the game to that extent, you'll just kill the game. So think of it as like this: you're used to something, you understand something, you think something is doing X, and then all of a sudden it's not doing X and it's doing something completely different. You will not, you first of all, you'll be confused about it, and that confusion already is enough to deter a lot of players, which is what will happen. It will deter a lot of players, and it will end up hurting the game a lot, and it might even straight up kill the game. So that's why you don't see developer changing the concept behind Warframe at this latest stage. At this point, if you want to change that much, you might as well make a new game. And that's what they're doing. They're making a new game because they know you cannot change Warframe that much. It's very sensitive. Hell, they nerf one gun and people will be complaining for years. And you say they changed that much? Should they though? Should they? Like, they tried and made something. And they won't change it. That's just how they do it. They won't change it. Regardless of what we think, they will not change it. Or at least there is no precedent for they doing that. They usually add something, work on it a little bit, and start working on something new. That has been their design philosophy for a long time. Oh, yeah, you meant the bug. Oh, the bug will probably get fixed if you send a thing about it, a forum post or something. But probably not instantly. It will take a bit, but they'll probably fix it. What would happen if they allow us to change Warframe passives as we do with Helminth? Probably not much. Probably not much because passives are usually intrinsic to how the build, to how Warframe's kit works. For example, if you change Nidus's passive, what do you think would happen? The Warframe would suddenly become pointless. I don't think that would be a good idea. I don't even know what Hydroid's passive is. Can you tell me what it is? Oh, I remember what Hydroid passive is. Hydroid passive was the one that if you did a slam attack, it would give you a tentacle thingy, right? Yeah, 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 yeah. Does that actually do something though? That tentacle barely does anything. As far as I know, there is only one Warframe that can do true damage to a point where it actually matters, and that Warframe is Excalibur with his 4-2 combo. No, I ran out of tea. I should have made some more. Yes, it is an interesting, and that's the problem. When something is interesting, but you don't give it the numbers to make it useful, that's really sad. Does anyone use Hydroid nowadays? I like that passive to be a sure thing. I have a question for you guys. How long do you think Warframe would last? How many more years? Everything has to end eventually. 4 to 5 more years, you say? Any more opinions? Imagine some lowest passive summon. Lavos's buff. Yeah, that would be interesting. Especially on what was it? The Wolf Warframe, the Wolf one. I forgot its name. That would be interesting because she can generate a bunch of health orbs, and that would make you immune to knockback. Hey, I've been thinking for a long time that I should slowly move my content outside of Warframe's territories because Warframe will not last that much longer. In my opinion, there is not much life left in it. Where is scroll view? There it is. I need a horizontal to hold the button action. It's funny though because Warframe is the whole reason I became interested in learning new stuff related to online content creation and maybe game development. If it wasn't for Warframe, I would never become interested in this kind of thing. Maybe you might have to reduce the quality or something. Yeah, I'm the last guy that would know this because, first of all, my internet is not good enough to play in a team anymore. So I always play solo, and I don't, and I'm not following any other content creators because I'm too busy making my own stuff. It's 25% base defense rate and people are obsessed with 100% strip. Hmm, interesting. It's not really that big of a deal. Oh, your CPU will not be supported. Dang. You should probably get a new one then. My god. Alright. How am I going to make this work? No money. Then go make some money then. That's pretty straightforward to fix, isn't it now? How do I make this work? Let's see. For each build, I'll need a build name, I think. Probably. So it should be a text. Oh, what if I put it at the top? Yeah, because it is straightforward. Where do I put this thing? Probably at the bottom of the screen, I think. I'm not sure about this. Wait a second. Wait a second. All right then. Bye bye. Okay, this is harder than I thought. Where am I gonna fit this thing? Put it at the top. How would that work? You say put it at the top? Let me try. Let me disable the vertical. Either I would need to put a cap on how many builds you can save for each weapon, which I don't want to do, or it's gonna be very ugly. Yeah, there's not enough space at the top. Unless I'll have to resize other stuff for it. Like make this thing smaller maybe. Can I make that thing smaller? But it doesn't have to be because even if pillage grabs 10%, it's enough. At decent levels, it's enough. Because in my opinion, the most important part of pillage is the shield that you get. It's basically survivability. Because in a normal mission, you're not gonna see that many heavy units that close to each other. You're gonna see them a few at a time. So doing defense strip is not that important on a large scale because trash mobs are always easy to kill at any level in comparison to a heavy unit. So it would be, I think it would be a better idea to grab something that can do 100% very easily. But you can recast it and select the. Yes, you can, but are enemies going to live that long? I think that's a valid question because if you're killing the enemies, then it's not gonna matter that much because you're only gonna see every enemy once. And how often are you recasting pillage? Like, are you recasting it every second? That button will be destroyed before you know it. I think I'm gonna put it at the bottom. Or maybe put it. Or should I put it over this thing, over the mods? Yes, but you can't do anything. Oh yeah, I'm answering the same question twice. What I meant is that you can't do anything else while that ability is active. Like while pillage is active and being casted, you can't shoot. And pretty sure you can't move either. What is the size of this thing? This thing maybe? 173.8. 739. Okay. That is valid. I'll give you that much. But I don't think it's something that is too important to cast every other second. Why is this thing off center? What the hell? Whoops. Oh, I was messing with the wrong thing there. Get this one. Okay, negative 63. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna put it over the mods and have it basically do the same thing that mods do because that's basically what it is. Just press this thing and mod will disappear and this new panel will show up. Oh, wait, it's still not the proper size. Hello there. Welcome. One 74, 740, and 0. Okay. Panel 174. All right. 174. Am I clicking on the right thing? I feel like I'm pressing the wrong thing. Where are these two different? Yeah. This is getting boring. So much commentary on this. Turns out game development is not something you can stream about. Who would have thought? All right, so if I make this thing like so, and then I make this thing. Oh, what did I do? Did I break something? Looks like I broke something. Why is this so much higher than it should be? Wait a second. 201. Not that one. This one. All right. That looks identical to me. Very well. Now to name it. Naming stuff is surprisingly important in game development because if you give something the wrong name, you'll never know what that thing is anymore. This is going to be build. No. Build. Hello there, Shadow. Or not Shadow. Build scroll view. All right. Can we get a much... What do you mean, can we get much higher, so high? Your question is vague or questionable, I guess. Hmm? You guys are not making much sense. Well, you thought wrong because my internet is not even good enough to both stream and play Warframe simultaneously. Or at least I don't think it is. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't even play Warframe that much anymore. I play it to make content. I do play it to make content, but I don't play it to play it anymore. Because I've played way too much. I have like, I don't know the exact number, but somewhere along the lines of 8,000 hours in it. So yeah, it's not fun anymore. What I do for fun is development, because believe it or not, development is a lot of fun. It's like a puzzle game that changes all the time, and every other puzzle is completely different than the last. All right, that looks good enough to me. By listening, I thought it was going to be Minecraft. No, it's not going to be Minecraft. I think we have more than enough Minecraft YouTubers as it is. The amazing bugs. Well, depends how. When I said a puzzle game, I was talking about the back end, not the front end or the environment design. I was talking about the back end, like stuff like this, like coding, like programming. That's the puzzle game part. The artistic part, now that's the front end. What's the game gonna be called? It's not a game. This is the Warframe calculator that I'm developing. Let me show you the title screen. It's this one. It looks like this in the build. Min-Maxer's Dream. That's its name. Well, you don't have to be in the game for those 12 to 24 hours. You can focus on something else in the meantime. There sure as hell are enough things to focus on in Warframe. Too many, actually. Or is there too many? Can you even have too many things? I don't know if you can. Well, if you count Equinox, that number becomes a lot higher. The default Equinox, that is. All right, we need one more component here, a grid layout. Yes. Well, it is interesting indeed because C Sharp is a very different language compared to Python, and especially the Unity C Sharp because, well, that's interesting. Really? The first person you saw in Warframe? I guess that's something. Okay, let me drop something here. Where are my prefabs? Mod. Well, if you say so. Because I back in the old days, I one of the most fun things I used to do in Warframe was help out new players. That was my number one priority in a certain time. Okay, I think this size will do. 150 by 30, maybe? Maybe. The thing about this project is that it's going to be related to the Unity license, and I have not read the published license on when you publish a game on Unity. I haven't read everything in it, or at least I don't remember what it said, so I cannot say with confidence what the license will be when I release it. But probably, I'll probably make it public. Hopefully, maybe, possibly. That's just back in the old days. There was a situation where you wouldn't want multi-shot. That was the only time that I think anyone would ever say, don't go for multi shot. But nowadays, everything needs multi shot because multi shot is just net positive in any situation, which, from a game design standpoint, is a really bad idea because why make something if everybody has to use it? That's not customization, that's just an inherent advantage that you should make built in. Thank you for the subscribe. I have too many of those. And that's why I'm still making Warframe stuff, despite the fact that I'm not playing Warframe anymore. Eventually, I'll probably start focusing on game development instead because game development is a lot more fun and a lot more future proof, at least compared to Warframe. Okay, somebody give me a build name. Yep, it did start a long time ago. But don't you worry, you didn't miss anything. Nothing interesting happened here. I was just talking and doing a little bit of work. What should I call this? Let's say Grenier build, for example. And then what I'm going to do is duplicate that a bunch of times to see how the grid layout should work. Okay. Okay, we should have a fixed row count. All right, and that number should be 4. Whoops, not that. 4. Status primer. 5. I think 5 is the number. Okay, let me disable that vertical. Delete that. One thing about game development is that it takes a long time. Very long time. Okay, where is that? If the stream is still going, I'll see ya. If not, then goodbye then. All right. Yep, that seems to be working. How many builds will you save for one weapon? Hmm? That's a question. Oh, okay, I just noticed something. The order of this is wrong. It should go down first and then to the right. I think. Yeah, probably. Okay, let's see. Child alignment, upper left, start corner, start axis, vertical. Okay, that's better, I think. Maybe 5 tops. Well, if you're a if you're a min maxer, you'll probably make more. Uh, I have one weapon in Warframe that I have 12 builds on, and then it didn't fit on one instance of that weapon. I had to make another one, not counting the Prime, just the base version. I have 2 of it now, and I also have, I think, 6 Drivens for it, maybe 5, and 17 Forma, I think, somewhere around those numbers. Okay, there is one more question to answer, and that is, what is the order? 1 Grenier, 2 Corpus, 3 Infested, 4 Corrupted, 5 Gun, maybe 7 Stat Stick. Okay, so here's a question for you. Yes, it is a lot of format. So here's a question for you. Do you want your new build to be to the left, or do you want your oldest build to be to the left? For example, if we're going build 1, build 2, whoops, I pressed the wrong button there. Build 2, and then all the way to the end is build 25. Do you want build 25 to be first, or do you want your first build to be first? Because right now, the last build you've made will go all the way at the end of the list, and the first build you made will be right in front of your face. I think I want the last build to be first, right? So child alignment should be upper right. No, not that. Hey, is this the wrong one? Upper left. That doesn't do anything. Start corner, upper right. Nope, that's wrong. How about, what would lower left look like? Nope, that's not it either. Yes, it can be rearranged. That's what a grid layout does. Oh, you meant rearranged as in at runtime? No, I don't think so. Because if I tell it to do this way, it'll do this way. If I tell it to do that way, it'll do that way. It's technically not impossible to make it so it can be rearranged, but it does not matter that much. Middle left, upper left. Are these all the same? Lower right. Nope. Okay, looks like nothing I do makes that do what I want it to do. All these do the same thing. Okay, what about... No, I think I tried every single one of these options. Unless... No, that's not how we want it to be. I think it should be vertical. And we should start at upper left. Yeah, all of these do the same thing. They change it a little bit, but the order does not change. About middle center, lower center? Nope, they do the same thing. Well, it is what it is then. You probably won't have that many builds anyway. Okay, we need a little bit of padding actually. Oh, that one has a constraint count of 4. This one has 5. What's up with that? 150 by 30. Oh, 5. Oh, it has spacing. Okay, forgot about spacing. Okay, is that more spacing than I need? Did it always have that much spacing? Okay, let me try this. Yeah, apparently it does have that much spacing. That's a lot of spacing. Shouldn't it be less? Shouldn't it be like 2 maybe? I feel like that would be a better idea. Maybe this thing is not sized very well, but it did work, so I'll keep it as it is. So let's just pretend it's good enough, because UI is not my strong suit. Alright, let's say it is good enough. Good enough. Alright, so we'll need a new prefab for that, because this old one is not going to cut it. Okay, let's see. I create empty. Should be called build. Should it be called build? Yeah, build is good enough. So what should it have? First of all, oh, actually, it should be a button. It shouldn't be an empty. Okay, UI, where is it? Where is it? Button. Okay. Let me grab that name. Let me delete that. Rename, give it that name. Build one. All right. Does it need its own script? If I'm not mistaken, I cannot make an onClick function work very well when it's a prefab. So it probably needs its own script, which is also a good idea because when I instantiate it, I can make it so that script is filled out. So we will need a new script now. Yes. So where are my UI script? Create C# script. Okay, the name of a script is also extremely important. So what should I call it? Build script. Probably. Yeah, let's go with build script. Oh, whoops. I should not say it's a script because it's obvious it's a script. I made that mistake before. Build prefab. No, that's also not a good name. Build slot. Saved build. Anyone has any suggestions there? Saved build. Build slot. No, I already have a build. Not a build manager, but I already have something akin to a build manager. It's build loader. It's at the top of this list at the bottom left, if you can see it. Build slot will have to do, I think. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay, step 1 is to remove these things that I'm not going to use. Whoops, I removed too much. Okay, now I'll need the event stuff using, okay, I keep forgetting the name of those things. Where is it? My mod drag and drop. Okay, it's called Unity Engine.event system. Unity Engine.event system. Okay. We will need one for left click. So it should be I pointer click handler and implement interface. Okay. I have something very similar to this in here. It's called pointer. Not that one, not that one. Okay, here it is. If event button dot Okay, this is right, but I'll have to make it left click. Whoops. If left. Should I make it both left click and right click? No, I think left click is good enough. And then we'll also need a reference. To whom do we need a reference though? To mod loader, I think. So it'll have to be public mod loader. Wait, what? Should it be public? Is that how I used to do it? Yeah, I think it should be public. Yeah, am I doing something wrong here? Oh, whoops, I'm trying to put something outside of the actual class. That's not how you do it. You have to put it here where the class actually has access to it. So if it's a public mod loader, not mod load, wait, what? Mod. What the heck is going on? Oh, build loader. My apologies. It's the wrong name. Build loader type, and I'll just call it build loader. Just like that. So whenever we instantiate it, or make an instance of it, we'll just fill that out. Filled out when making an instance. All right. And then inside of build loader, we'll also need a name for this thing. So public string. A string is basically just a bunch of characters at the end of each other. So it's basically like a word or a sentence. A public string name. Name? Yeah, I think name will do. Build loader dot load build, and then we'll give it the name. There we go. I'm also one thing that I should have mentioned is, yeah, welcome back. One thing that I should have mentioned is that I'm planning on making another channel as well. In this channel, my goal has always been to learn new things, and in the new channel that I'll eventually make, my plan is to make you learn, not to teach you, mind you, to make you want to learn by showing you what learning something can provide you, basically. For example, do you see this little M at the bottom right side of the screen? Do you know what that is? It's this thing. It's an AutoHotkeys script. It's unbelievably useful. It is so useful that it's almost ridiculous how useful it is. But I didn't even know it exists. So, if I was to show you a bunch of stuff that are super useful and can be of help to you, you might learn them. And that's the point of that channel. Whenever I get to making it. Any of you know what AutoHotkeys does? No one? No one knows what AutoHotkeys does here? Well, I used to be one of those, not knowing what it does. But now I know. Oh yeah, we'll also need... Yep, checks out. We'll also need a reference to that panel because we want to make it show up and disappear on demand. Serialized field builds panel. Whoops. Game object. Yes, the game object. Builds panel. Then save that. Save all. One thing that I can tell you is that when programming, if you don't have something akin to AutoHotkeys, you'll have to move your hand all over the keyboard very often. But with this little baby that I made, which is called Hotkey Manager, I don't have to move my hands from the letters at all, and yet I have access to everything. Well, okay, not everything, but close enough. Without even moving my fingers from the letters, I have access to directional arrows, for example, going left, going right, going left one word, going right one word, going at the start of the line, going at the end of the line, selecting the whole line, etc., etc., and even numbers and numbers like numpad numbers. I can press numpad numbers without moving my fingers at all. Let me show you. Look, for example, this is where my fingers are right now from the home row, basically. And I can do this. See? This is the left ones, and the right ones do this. Move left to right. And go to the end, go to the start, select one word, or select the whole line in one go. I even have access to stuff like dash, underscore, plus, minus sign, and all the other mathematical signs without moving my fingers, which is a game changer when it comes to programming. But I didn't even know it exists and how easy it is to make one. It like took me like one day and I was suddenly capable of doing stuff like this. And that's not the only thing I made. I actually made a bunch of AutoHotkey scripts. But yeah, if you know what it is and if you know it's useful, then you'll use it. So that's the point of the second channel that I will eventually make, because learning on my own is fun, but helping others learn, that's more fun. All right, where was I? Yes, I was making this thing. Wait a second. Why is that so dim? 0.5. Okay, that's better. So build, this guy will need script. Mod slot, nope. Build slot. Yep, that's the one. All right. Name and build loader. Build loader will be filled on instantiation whenever I instantiate it, and the name will also be filled. All right, that checks out. Okay, I'll also close that. All right. Oh God, I've been streaming for 1.5 hours now. I think that's long enough. Do you guys agree? Anybody have any questions before I end this? Okay, let me see. I haven't set up a system to instantiate stuff yet. Oh, thank you. Okay, let me give that panel there. No, I should probably call it builds panel. No questions then? All right. I guess I'll see you guys whenever I see you guys, because there's a very high chance I currently have COVID-19. And yeah, if you could make a Warframe, what would their kit be? I personally wouldn't make a Warframe because we already have way too many as it is. Alrighty then. I could answer that, but you asked a little bit too late because I'm about to end the stream. Alright. I'll see you guys whenever I see you guys. Alright then. Bye bye.